guests who are struggling to hear and see, but other guests are fine. So I'm thinking it's a connectivity issue. But I'll work on it in the chat so you can keep going on.
Okay, great. I'm going to try and minimize that and get it away. Can everyone see my screen? Nicole, just double check with you.
No, I can't see your screen. It was there for a moment and then it disappeared.
Yeah. Okay. Is it one of the, I'll stop presenting and then bring it back. So let me share it again.
Very strange things happening today.
It's gremlins. Can you see it now?
I can see you, but other people are saying they can see a screen.
Maybe I shouldn't be spotlighted.
Okay.
Can I try turning off spotlight?
Yeah.
Let me turn that off. Now.
I can see Waldo. Waldo, please switch off your camera.
Okay. All right.
Nicole, can you see my desktop now?
Oh.
Okay.
I'm going to try logging out and logging back in.
Okay.
But it seems like everyone else can see it. So.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, great, guys. Nicole's going to monitor the chat. I obviously can't monitor it. I only have one screen. So if anyone has an issue, please contact Nicole and then we'll start. Okay, so luckily our fourth session for the year and hopefully our last one, as I said before. And what we will look at is we're going to go through, once again, introduction to Xero, benefits, the features, Xero Central, and the training for Marketplace, HubDoc, and Receipt Bank. Touch on projects and also pricing. And then we'll do the demonstration again. But as I said, I'd really like to leave this demonstration in your hands so that you guide us through some pertinent questions that you have. And then well, the demonstration and question session sort of meld into one kind of longer session at the end of the day. So we'll try and see if we can get through at least the first 8 points relatively quickly, and then we will open it up for the demonstration, and hopefully we'll be able to resolve most of your guys' queries and questions. Okay, so we'll start off by quickly having a look at the video, and then we'll move on from there.
Xero was designed so you can quickly and easily start doing business today while taking the time you need to set up your account correctly. Start with connecting bank feeds for your bank account. It's an easy task that only takes a few minutes, but the benefits are huge. Because your bank statement lines are brought into Xero automatically, it's practically effortless to keep your accounts accurate and up to date. Next, add your organization details and customize your invoices by simply uploading your business logo. Add a payment service to enable your customers to easily pay your invoices online by just clicking Pay Now. These are simple items to set up and won't take too long. You can now start processing transactions and invoicing your customers anywhere, anytime, and you're in business. Once you're up and running, it's time to customize the chart of accounts to get your account right going forward. A few simple changes to the default chart to suit your business may be all you need. If you're importing a chart of accounts from your old system, you'll want to set aside some extra time to do this. Lucky for you, we provide tools to take the pain out of this process. You can import your chart along with opening balances straight into Xero using the template provided. And don't forget, wherever you are in Xero, help is never too far away. Do you have an existing list of customers and suppliers? You can import those into Xero too. If you have an accountant or bookkeeper, Xero enables you to collaborate with them to grow your business. If you're looking for one, you'll find plenty of Xero certified advisors at xero.com/advisors. And check out the Xero app marketplace if you have more complex needs for your industry-specific business, like farming, hairdressing, manufacturing, and more. To learn more, you can check out Xero TV. There you'll find short videos on how to set up and get the best out of the features. Welcome to Xero. It's a pleasure doing business.
Okay, wonderful. So just some of the points they're highlighted there. Obviously, Xero is an online, real-time and mobile application. So you can basically look at or access your accounting system from anywhere in the world and from any place in Windhoek. So if a coffee shop is your preferred business workspace, then that's where you can access Xero from. Just going through the points, real-time and mobile, Xero gives you real-time view of your cash flow. You can manage purchase orders, expenses, bills, and employee payments from your iPhone, iPad, Android device, laptop, and desktop. As I've said before, I'm pretty sure I've got a client who, before the student leaves the class, has invoiced that student. So the minute the session is finished, they simply climb onto the phone, and he does his invoice from there. His accountant, who's sitting at the coast, immediately knows that invoice has been published. The student receives the invoice, and in a perfect world, can make payment directly from their phone. In the perfect world, I'm going to put in inverted commas, and we'll return to that point a little bit later. Up to date, Xero is automatically updated every 3 to 6 weeks to reflect changes in tax rates and provide you with new features at no extra charge. I think what they're trying to highlight there, obviously we determine our own VAT rates in the country, is that Xero, there's no such thing as phoning your software installer and asking them to install the latest update. Because it is a web-based application, all of the updates are done automatically, and when you log in, you will simply get a notification that there's been an update. Very often, if you are already working on Xero, you can turn off like a notifications. If you go onto, for example, just the loading page, you'll very often see they've added this benefit or they've added these reports as you go. And it's quite a good idea to just watch the video, because sometimes those added features can be quite intense and can resolve a lot of the issues that you might be having already. Saves time. You can save time with easy uploading of bank statements, invoices, and credit card transactions. Unfortunately, as stated before, Xero, we don't have online bank feeds at the moment. The banks are climbing on board, catching up. Who knows? We had some prospects with Nedbank. I know Xero and Nedbank South Africa have a product now that automatically integrates. But here in Namibia, we're a little bit, our banks are a little bit behind the software. That does not prevent you from being able to download your statement in CSV or OFX format and then simply uploading it into your accounting package. Remember, Xero is bank statement centric. In other words, it processes the cash book directly from the bank statement. So if you've processed everything on your bank statement, then your bank reconciliation will automatically balance. Okay, secure. We've had a lot of problems with security over the last couple of months, and not what you would think are security issues. In other words, people being hacked, but more people forgetting their two-factor authentication passwords, having staff leave that have two-factor authentication on and then trying to access their accounts. One of the core features of two-factor authentication is that I don't have control over it. No one has control over it besides the person who has set up that two-factor authentication. So in that process, there's generally a place where it would ask you to set up a backup email address. That backup email address very often should be set up as the financial manager or the owner's email address, because that would then mean that if you do reset the passwords and that the password code would be sent back to the business owner, which would enable them to then reset the codes. obviously, two-factor authentication is the most common form of, well, it's pretty common in people who have their security up to date, is one of the more secure ways of accessing data on the internet. Collaborative, you and your accountant can look at the same information at the same time. I think that is one of the big advantages that we've had as a firm, is that our services have become collaborative with the client. In the past, the client would drop their receipt books or their files or their slip box, whichever was their preferred method of filing, and we would simply process it and eventually produce a set of financial statements from that. Now we're finding that our relationship with our clients is becoming a lot more collaborative, and you can apply that obviously in your individual cases. For example, your accountant will be able to see what is what the sales clerk is processing immediately. We as accounting service providers are able to see minute by minute as clients are updating their sales. We're able to see as clients are sending their bills through to the program. We can assist immediately and far more efficiently than it being sort of a land-based software where our favorite tools there are AnyDesk or TeamViewer for me to be able to log in and then try and resolve your machine remotely or your problems remotely. That we can now do immediately. A lot of the maintenance and the simple sort of just review of the work is now automated and is much more real time. So we can get your cash flow, your management reports to your banks much more efficiently and much faster. In some countries, and it depends on your relationship with your bank manager, you could actually invite your bank manager into your set of accounts so that they can have a look and see themselves what's going on in your books. I know that I've asked a couple of managers over the last year and a half, what would they prefer? Would they prefer a set of financial statements, or would they prefer to see, real-time management accounts or real-time or have real-time access to books? And a lot of the time, the bank manager is actually sitting back and thinking about it and saying, actually, they'd like to have access to the books because they can far better see what is the flow of information, coming into your books. What does your cash flow look like? What invoices what money are you receiving? What are you spending per month? So it's a very interesting conversation. You could definitely have this with your bank managers in the future, is you want to have view-only access to my books. In first world, and I hate the word first world because we're one world, in first world countries, you do actually find that the clients are opening up their books to their local tax authorities, so that even the tax authorities can access and view your books real time, and then deduct the tax that is required also real time. So imagine a world where you don't need to worry about submitting a VAT return. The receiver revenue just comes in and sees what VAT you've submitted, and it's automatically deducted off your account. I have a smile on my face right here because I think we're moving there slowly. There have been so great improvements on ITAS at the receiver of revenue. I must commend them. Obviously, there's program glitches here and there, but never before has it been so easy to submit your tax return and to have it immediately assessed. So that relationship is improving in leaps and bounds, and I'm so pleased for the receiver of revenue and obviously also for the clients, because what we do find as an accounting practice is that we're losing the completion and submission of your VAT return kind of clients. So we're losing income there, but that's because the clients are saying, but I can do it. And that's great because it releases us to rather give you advice about your books, as opposed to helping you do something that is quite mundane and charging a few. So we're changing the way we interact with clients. We're changing our services to our clients, which I think is much, look, it's much more beneficial if I can comment on your cash flow, or I can say, listen, you know, your debtors are too high. Why aren't you paying your debtors? Or your creditors are too high. Then the service, or the only time that you ever hear from us is when we phone you because we want to complete and submit your VAT return. So just like the clients are going on this learning process, definitely BDO Namibia are going on a learning process, and we're making mistakes and we're gaining a lot, but it's a very exciting time because the changing of this relationship is very important to us, because we want to be advisors to your business. Accountants, you can hire accountants. Anyone can process a sales invoice, anyone can process a bill. And I think Xero makes it even easier for people with no accounting experience to do that. So what do we need to concentrate on? Well, we need to concentrate, if we want to make money and we want to add value to our clients, into advising our clients. So that relationship is becoming a lot more beneficial to the client and more rewarding to accountants also. I ask a lot of my accounting students, what do you want to be? Do you want to process sales invoices all year, or would you like to advise a client and make an impact on the client's business and progression through the year? Okay, over 500 add-ons, the business applications that can help you to manage inventory, track timesheets. There are a lot out in the market. There are more and more and more that are being added. So, we've got iKentu, that's a point of sale. We've got, we're being exposed now a lot to some of the tour tracker, the tourist companies that are using tour tracker. And these programs now also, they're being interfaced into Xero. So you might have an add-on application that is specifically designed for your front office or your point of sale, or your bookings or your renting or whatever. It would be a very good starting point to actually go and ask those program developers and see if they haven't actually written an interface into Xero. What that means is that you won't need to journal transactions from your one set of accounts. That's, for example, TourRight or Kentu. You won't need to journal that manually into Xero. It's automatically connected and the information is automatically processed into Xero. Okay, helpful. Xero provides extensive online help. You will see throughout the demonstration today that there's help links everywhere. And obviously, Xero Central has the learning section on it. Trusted by more than 1 million customers across the world. I think I might need to update that. That might be 1.2 at this point, but we'll definitely update that for the slides in 2023. 1 million customers throughout the world is a marked achievement. Obviously, Xero started in New Zealand, Australasia, that area, and has grown considerably. It is the preferred accounting package for BDO EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And so we're definitely adding value as a gold partner to the success of Xero. Okay, let's have a look. So we'll look at some of the features of Xero very quickly, and a lot of the stuff I keep on the web page because they keep on adding features. So instead of doing a slideshow that I need to keep on, we just hop onto the internet. Okay, so if we have a look at our features, send invoices, I've mentioned that before. You could do an invoice from your phone, and the preferred method of sending those invoices is by email. So in actual fact, it's quite difficult to print an invoice. You first need to save it into PDF and then print it. The easiest method is to simply email it and CC a copy into yourself. You can also attach documents, supporting documentations, a quote, maybe a calculation, a manual calculation, a picture, whatever you need, you can actually attach to that invoice and also send it through to the client. The bank reconciliation, as I said, it is bank statement centric. In other words, you do need to import your bank statements into the program, and you process basically your cash book from your bank statement. Hence you basically do away with the bank reconciliation. Pay bills, so using Receipt Bank or Dext and HubDoc, your bills are automatically brought into your accounting package, and then you can actually track when you pay them. A lot of clients say, oh, they don't have this feature, or this feature is not working in Xero. And that is because you are neglecting certain fields. So if it says, what is the date of the bill, or what is the date of the invoice that you're sending to your client, the next field will be, when do you expect to pay it, or when do you expect to receive the sales invoice that you sent out? Now, those can be very helpful in determining your future cash flow requirements. Obviously, if I need to pay a bill before I'm going to receive the money from my customer, that puts a negative cash flow impact on my business. So what do? When you get to that field, it's very important that you be honest with yourself. If you know that your client only pays in 60 days, then put that date as 60 days ahead. If you then go into the reporting, that reporting will be a lot better projected than if you just left it as the default, which is, I think sometimes it's the same day as the transaction date. So the more information you put in, the better it's going to be for you, and the more effective the reporting is going to be. Claiming expenses, you can manage spending and submit or reimburse expense claims with Xero's expense management tool. That is very useful for directors, or if you've got a lot of sales agents that are running around the show, they can simply submit their claims online, and you can then determine whether that goes to as a business expense or is deducted from the employee or the director at the end of the month. Bank connections, obviously I've stated before that our bank's a little bit behind. They're very close. Very, very close. So I'm hoping that 2023 is going to be the year where I'm pretty sure that when one bank climbs on board, the other banks will climb on board very quickly. It's just that initial sort of bursting the bubble, and I'm pretty sure that most of them will. Accepting payments. There are now quite a few online payment solutions that are being offered. I think that comes to mind is I think there's a Buddy app that I haven't tested it yet that can be linked in. You could basically put a payment method onto your invoices so that when the client receives them and they go and view the invoice online, that they can simply click the button and be taken to a couple of payment methods, PayPal, whatever. Obviously, PayPal is not allowed in Namibia, but I think Buddy is one. It would be great if we had an interface into, for example, Pay Today or PayPulse or whatever, but also perhaps more directly into your bank. So if your bank is offering a payment portal whereby clients can go in and pay with their credit card, it just facilitates getting that money in quicker, which is a positive impact on your cash flow. GST returns, you can obviously see that I'm on a European site. We have VAT, but all of the reporting that is coming out of Xero, that you can get out of Xero, is sufficient for you to be able to fill in your VAT returns and is detailed enough. Payroll, we've had quite a few discussions about payroll. Unfortunately, there isn't enough subscribers in Namibia for Xero to offer payroll as part of the package. So they have not written the Namibian payroll calculations and templates. We do need to rely on either Sage Pastel Payroll. I don't believe it's got an interface. They might have changed that into Xero. Alternatively, you can use applications like PaySpace. Relatively cheap alternative is PaySpace. I think the last quote I got was like 17 to 20 Rand, which is Namibian dollar per payslip per month. And then you're getting a full, sort of HR package. So you've got employee self-service. You've got you can push your payslips directly to your employees' email accounts. Those kind of features. Okay, manage Xero contacts. We'll deal a little bit with that concept later, but I'm not going to go into too much detail. But you don't really have a customer and a supplier. It's preferred for you to have a contact, because in today's world, you're selling and buying from the same person. So as I'm buying, coffee from, I'm thinking off the top of my head, as I'm buying coffee from Slowtown, I'm selling Slowtown beans, So in today's, environment, we have contacts, and depending on what transaction you are processing or you're dealing with, it's splitting, Xero is splitting those transactions up into sales invoices, into what you're selling to your contact and what you're buying from your contact. Capturing data, get copies of documents and key data into Xero automatically. Xero has a file section where you can actually save things like the company or the CC's registration documentations, possibly VAT clearance certificates or tax clearance certificates. Any kind of permanent documentation you can slap into the file section. Alternatively, on every single transaction that you process in Xero, you can actually attach supporting documentation. Let's say you do a general journal and you'd like to have some supporting documentation or your thought process recorded. You can simply attach a document to that transaction. That transaction will then always show a little file or page with a 1 or a 2 or a 3, depending on how many attached documents are on there. Right, reporting. We're every day discovering new ways of reporting. Definitely from an accounting practice perspective, we have advisor reporting. So when we log on to your books as an advisor, we get a whole added, all of our sort of template reports that we've built in our headquarters, we have access to from within your company. So we've got, for example, a financial statement template that is SME compliant. We've got a trust template, I think, and we've got I wanted to say a sports club template. I think they're developing templates every day. When I log into your books and you're a sports club, I can actually have access to my advisor templates, pull through that template and then publish it to you automatically. So it makes the reporting a whole bunch faster. But also, not only that, the actual reporting within Xero itself is incredibly customizable. So you can actually move stuff around on your income statement and your balance sheet. And depending where, for example, if you moved assets from your current assets, let's say your bank from your current assets, and you moved it into current liabilities, it could show it automatically as a negative and still balance the balance sheet out. Okay. Xero's got built-in inventory, albeit a very simple inventory. So please, please, please do not for one moment assume that the inventory in Xero is going to be sufficient. It's sufficient for your very small enterprise. So where you're buying goods and you're selling, you're not really doing anything to those goods. So I resell MTC prepaid numbers or whatever, or I buy stuff from China, let's say caps, and I simply sell them on here. That in and out, definitely Xero can control. But it does lack some of the features like guiding you through, as for example, Sage Pastel has an inventory count a wizard that will guide you through your inventory count. Xero doesn't have that in their default inventory, but that is where you would mostly go and find an add-on package. Multi-currency, it deals very well with multi-currency. It uses XE currency to automatically convert the transactions on the transaction date. When the payment comes through, it automatically converts that transaction, and then we'll realize if you're allocating the payment or the receipt to a sales invoice, it will then automatically realize the forex gain or loss on that particular transaction. Purchase orders and quotes, I'm going to deal with those two together. You've got a purchase order, a sort of management section whereby you can send your purchase orders out, and once those purchase orders have been fulfilled, you can automatically convert that purchase order into a bill. Very same with your quotes. If you're sending out quotes, it will tell you which quotes have been sent, which quotes have been accepted, which the client can do online automatically, and then which quotes you've converted into invoices. So sort of like almost your quote win rate, if I want to put it that way. And then analytics, I see future cash flows. It is something that they are definitely playing with. So you do have access to like the default analytics, but the analytics is very reliant on that example that I told you before, whereby when am I going to pay my bill? When do I expect to receive the sales invoice? That would add a lot of value to the analytics section of Xero. And then obviously you've got your accounting dashboard, which you can customize, and generally that dashboard becomes your shortcut to actually go and do transactions or to further manage your, let's say customers or your bank. Now, manage fixed assets. Xero does have a fixed asset module section in. From my experience, it seems to be very easy to use, and we haven't pushed it, so I haven't taken like a 20-page fixed asset register in yet, but certainly like a 5-page inventory, asset register we've imported, and it seems to be able to handle that quite successfully. If you process a transaction for example, to a fixed asset account, it will ask you, do you want to create the draft asset for this? And if you say yes, it will obviously create the draft asset. You can then come in later and add all the details into that asset, and then basically take that draft and make it a permanent asset in your asset register. Depreciation can also be calculated and posted directly into Xero. So that's a very sort of quick overview of Xero, and we're now going to move on to the next section. So if we look at Xero Central and online training, and I'm going to quickly go there. If you've got a Xero login account, then you have access to Xero Central, and I'm going to get into Xero quickly here for you. So we're going to go to Xero.com. Oh, no, my typing Xero. Wait, Xero.com. So if I just quickly log in. Right, so if I'm going to quickly log into my Xero. I just want to get to the demo company. So if you have a look at the, if you've logged into Xero and you've got access to a particular company, you can simply go onto the little question mark there and have access to go to your Xero Central. Okay, so once you go into Xero Central, you will have access to the learning section over there, and you'll see that that I have my 2022 product updates are in progress. I was a little bit behind on that, but you can see I can leave my training at any particular time and come back in and finish it. Also, if you've completed a specific training, for example, your Xero certification, it will give you a badge attached to your username. So there's also a lot of the support section is incredibly incredibly fast and extensive. So, for example, we had a problem with our billing account for all of our clients. I was able to log a ticket, and they were able to resolve it within 2 hours. So, and they were incredibly helpful. So, I'm a fond lover of the support side and the learning section. I encourage everyone, even if you don't have Xero at the moment, you could quite easily go and create a trial for yourself from the Xero website, or you could contact anyone at BDO and they will set up an in-trial for you and invite you into the set of accounts. The minute you've got that, you have access to Xero Central and to the learning. I think you do have limited. I think they have now added a sort of a limiting factor on it until you sort of subscribe. That's capitalism for you. But it does allow you to do some of the courses. And obviously, resources like Xero TV that is on the YouTube channel is invaluable in you know, finding quick routes to resolve certain issues. You don't know how to process the bank properly, go and do a revision course on Xero TV. Right. So you know, as I said before, I really encourage everyone to sort of, you know, do the courses. You'll see, obviously, that they've got recommended courses here. Convert Clients, the Conversion Toolbox, how to do bookkeeping is one of them. So see how to do core bookkeeping tasks. There's a course for that. So there's no reason why you can't become very efficient in the Xero program. And remember that all of this training is for free. I'm, you know, I don't know how they offer it to free, and other accounting packages charge you quite a lot of money to actually become fully trained on that accounting progress. Okay, great. So Xero Central and the online training, I think it's self-explanatory. For example, just want to give you an example. If I go to my support and I say, how do I process a foreign currency sales invoice? It'll very quickly come up with reconcile foreign transactions, create a foreign currency transaction. There's my help desk article. If I go into that, it'll generally give me a step-by-step, you know, procedure on how to do this. So how it works, so it gives you a small overview. How it works gives you all of the methods creating a foreign currency transaction. So very easy to use and very extensive, especially if you go into sort of like the forums where sometimes you might have a problem, and there are problems. There's problems in every accounting package. If you've hit a snag and you don't seem to be able to get, and I'm trying to think of one because we did have one a couple of weeks back, where it was said, well, you know, no, we don't have a solution for this particular issue, but it has been scheduled for, you know, the December release of the product in the following regions. So they're very open about their product development, and if there's a lot of requests for a particular feature, then they will consider it. So, for example, I at the moment have some people asking for a 4-month VAT period. Xero doesn't have a 4-month; it has like a 2 and a 6 and a yearly VAT period. And then, you know, one of the features of some of the other accounting packages is for you to be able to close your VAT period. They had sort of like a tax closure procedure. Here it's a lot more manual, so you need to actually physically go and close that period or everything before that period end manually. So some people are asking for that feature in it. I know that there is a template out there already that has that feature. We're just not sure which region it is in, but we're asking them if they can't make that feature available in our region. And just so you know, we're in the Europe, EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa section of Xero. South Africa has now sort of isolated themselves as their own region, and we'll come back to that a little bit later. Right. If Xero and its current configuration does, if it's lacking in certain areas, you have access to the Xero Marketplace. And I'm going to the South African one because it is our neighbor, but and we might be a little bit biased towards that. But there are many other marketplaces. So sometimes you can actually go and have a look in the US market space or the Australian marketplace and see that they actually have some other added some other added products that South African store might not have. The developers are able to list themselves in whichever market they would like to sell the product. But very often, you know, maybe a product developer in Australia hasn't really thought about the African market. If you contact them, then they might very well put it onto the African store, the EMEA store. But just so you can see, you can actually, let's say I'm in the catering, and I'm just doing that because for fun, I'm thinking of words that are popping up in my brain. So if you look for catering, then it gives you a list of add-on products that you can actually add onto Xero. So it will be another website, and that will automatically link into your base set of Xero accounts. So we've got a point of sale, Click POS, retail management and point of sale solution, Bedful booking system, an easy booking and management system for your holiday business, and BrightBiz. BrightBiz is built by wedding and event experts for venue, wedding, and event management companies. So you'll find all sorts of, and that was from catering. I was thinking of food. Maybe it's because I'm hungry. I don't know. But, you know, you type in catering and you get these options. And if you wanted to explore it a little bit more, you'd simply click on there, and then eventually it will take you to the by BrightBiz. And if you click on that, it'll actually take you to that website, whereby you can have a look at the features. And there would be BrightBiz. Some of the sites will give you the pricing automatically, but a lot of them these days are now sort of forcing you to register for a quote. But on some of the sites, you can actually immediately see the pricing available here. So if you have a look at this, this will be an add-on feature that you could add on to Xero. That's before the sales invoice, if I could put it that way. So you do all of your management and your planning and everything on this program. When you push invoice and you invoice it, it'll send that, it'll create that invoice in Xero and then send it through to your client automatically. If generally it's a setting on how you're doing invoicing. I've got a client that does sort of batch invoicing, and he phoned me you know, a couple of months back and said, Warren, there's something wrong. My monthly invoices, the people are paying it already. And I said, well, it is the first of the month. And he said, yes. And he said, I said, when did you set your recurring batch for? And he said, well, the first of the month. So what happens there is like 12:10 on the Friday morning, it automatically created the batch. And because he had said send invoices automatically, it had automatically sent the invoices to all of the clients. When the clients got in the morning at 7 o'clock, they started paying the invoices. So by the time he got to the office, he had already got receipts for invoices that he didn't know had already gone out. And that is a happy Friday in anyone's books. So you can automate that kind of procedure and really add value to your business and to your cash flow. Generally, most of these sites will also have, you know, some form of, you know, sort of references that you can click on and go and see. And a lot of the sites, if I can get back to my page, which would most probably be there, and we can close those two. I just put in, I'm going to put in Vend because I know that Vend has got a pricing module available to it. Oh, sorry, I'm not in the marketplace anymore. I am in the in my other thing. So let's just get back to the marketplace. And we go Vend up. Oh, sorry, my keyboard is acting up. Either that or my fingers are acting up. But if you go to Vend and you click on Vend by Lightspeed, you can generally find. Okay. I'm going to swallow my words. I'm going to try that again and try Dext. Sorry, not Vend. It's also a 4-letter word, but Dext, prepare. And it's going to be one of those mornings where I'm going to be proven wrong again and again and again and again because I can't seem to find it. So I'm going to do the good old Dext and we'll call it Dext pricing. Our pricing plans. There we go. And if you have a look at the pricing plans, you will generally get a plan that suits you. So, for example, if you choose the $43 per month, you get up to 3,000 monthly documents. So what this product will do, it's very similar to HubDoc, is you will send, if you get a statement from or an invoice from your supplier, you will simply send that automatically through to Dext. Dext will then read that through read it through using a computer technology and then populate your bill for you automatically. That includes calculating the VAT. You then teach the product that if it's City of Windhoek, that the total of that invoice should go to municipality expenses, for example. So once you've taught the program and it's able to pick that up, you can actually say to it, look, I don't want to review this anymore. Please just automatically scan the invoice, get the information out and post it to my bill awaiting payment. And so you almost completely remove your supplier processing lady. You still need to do the review and you still need to ensure that the transaction is allocated correctly. But what it further does is it adds that original invoice onto that transaction for you. So if you're in Xero and you click on that transaction, you can simply say, show me the supporting documentation. It will show you the supporting documentation. That's where it adds value to you, for example, in your VAT audits. I know in South Africa, there are clients that are doing it at the moment where they open up their records for the VAT consultant from SARS. They get an email invite, a view-only invite. They go and they verify what they need to do. They can click on the transaction. The supporting documentation is there, and VAT audits are being reduced by hours and hours and hours. Here at the moment, I think we're moving very close to that kind of integration. I think there's a couple of big hurdles that we need to jump over first, like have an Electronic Documents Act, but I'm pretty sure that we'll most probably adopt an Electronic Document Act that has already been developed, albeit Australia's, South Africa's, England's, I don't know, Germany's possibly, when we get to that point. But the minute you sort of gotten that electronic, that the validity of the electronic document is stamped, that it hasn't been altered, then I I'm pretty sure that the received revenue would have the capability of just logging into your books and then printing that information out if they need it. Okay, so just to get back to it, a lot of these marketplace products, you can automatically subscribe and it will automatically be deducted from your bank account. The pricing does vary, so do watch out for the pricing. It can be in US dollars, it can be in Australian dollars, it can be in rand, it can be all sorts of stuff. You can sometimes find a way to actually have the quote converted automatically for you. But I'm still, $43 per month for that functionality. It's $800 a month is minimal, I believe, in today's world. Obviously, Xero in their subscription, so in their Xero subscription fee, already give you HubDoc, for example, which is a competitor of Dex. HubDoc is adequate for your basic sort of processing. I do have a tendency to go back to my original software that I grew up on, which is Dext or Receipt Bank. At the last speed test that I did, Dext was still faster than HubDoc, but HubDoc is fast enough. So please don't feel obligated or forced to subscribe to Dext because I'm a fan of it. But know that if HubDoc is not doing the processing fast enough for you, that there are other markets, there are other products on the market. Also note that you can have more than one add-on program that is integrating into your Xero. You can have 3 or 4 or 5. I don't know if there's a limit on that. Let's say you want to use Spotify as your management account reporting. So, for example, I'll quickly go to Spotify. I know if any of you are out there that are involved in Spotify. So I've now muddled up Spotlight and Shopify. So Spotify. If you go to Spotlight reporting, for example, that is wonderful for you to do reporting directly to your directors or your members. So you could add that on as part of your added value to clients, for example, if you're an accountant with a small practice. And there's many out there. Please don't feel obligated to use the ones that I've done. So you can have a look at the kinds of reports that they'll give you, visual dashboards, powerful reporting, and you simply will subscribe to this service. It'll ask you a couple of questions. It'll ask you, do you want to link this to your books? You say yes. You then link it into your books and it automatically creates those connections. You see here, I, for example, can set it in. I can look for the price in rands, and that would be your reporting module. So the basic, what I'm looking at here is the Spotlight reporting for accountants. So this would be basically 20 companies that you're linking into that you're giving this reporting to. So that's your advisor plans. But if you looked at your business plans, if you were just a sole trader, then you'll see that for one organization, it's $150 per month. To add 150 Rand per month to your subscription fees, I don't think is a lot of money to get the kind of reporting that Spotlight is or has is a small cost. Right, just to get back to our slideshows. So that's the marketplace. As I said, you could explore it. There are some programs that are supported here in Namibia already. I know, for example, Ikento, Tour Writer. I think another one is called Sempa. I'm still a bit confused as to which one. A Tour Writer, I think, does tours, and Sempa does like the whole booking, including like the bar and all the rest of it. Those products are supported locally. we're beginning to support some of them because we're being exposed to them through our clients. But there are a lot of add-on features that are available. Go and find the best one for your market. These guys are very dedicated in the space, whether it be Xero, Spotlight, whatever. They're incredibly dedicated to their programs and the quality of their programs. I have not heard of an instance where someone has walked away from an add-on product because of the lack of service. When I hear that, I will let everyone know. Okay, if we carry on, I'm going to quickly give you HubDoc. Receipt Bank does the same. I'm not going to waste too much time on Receipt Bank because I don't want to spend too much time on that. So if you look at HubDoc, we'll quickly watch the video. It will give you a sense of what both products offer. Assuming the internet's on our side. And it is not on our side. Is on our side. Can be on our side. Yeah, there we go. Not on our side. So we'll say to HubDoc, thank you very much, but you did not perform correctly, so we'll do Receipt Bank. And please note it was not my preference. So we'll do Dex Prepare. See if that works. Okay, so maybe we've lost internet connectivity. Okay, let's leave them. If anyone wants further information about Dext or about HubDoc, please feel free to quickly Google online. If you're not getting into the right space, then give me a call or send me an email and I can guide you through both of those. Okay. Just getting back to projects, Xero's got an inbuilt project functionality. It's very simple, but it does add a layer on there whereby you can actually have your projects done. And I just want to see if I can move this presenting bar. I can't. So am I still presenting? Yeah. Okay, so if we just go into our demo company. I've got so many open windows here. Let me just close some of them so that we can, we don't want to do that. We want to go to, where is, there, the dashboard of our demo company. So if you go in here, you do have your projects where you can have a look at your project. It's a very simple layer. It just adds on some timing and some recovery of costs. But it's good enough to just add a very simple layer on so you can control projects according to budget. I'm adding it into the demo. It might throw me out somewhere. But if you have a look here, they've got the right project, for example. It gives you a dashboard. You can go in. You can see what the project estimate in, what has been invoiced, what are the time and expenses. And if we can further zoom into that and have a look at the estimated hours that we've put in. And at the end of the day, it will give you, a dashboard of what is the status of your products? So you can add that layer in. A lot of people talk about projects and maybe cost center coding. Projects will add a project on. So in other words, the end result of that project is most probably going to be an invoice to a customer. But you could also quite easily, and I want to get back to my client, so I want to close. Oh, I really am back. A lot of people talk about, cost centers and that you would kind of add in under advanced, and in Xero you would call that tracking options. So if you add tracking options into your set of accounts, then you've got up to 2 different layers with 100 sub layers in each one of those layers. So for example, you could add a tracking category called region, and you could also add another one called city. So you could have your reporting done per city, per region, or you could have it just for a particular city or just for a particular region. So you can sort of, I don't want to say departmentalize because it might be triggering some very complicated accounting. We'll call it tracking, as Xero did say. So you could track your expenditure across multiple categories, 2 categories, and within those 2 categories, main categories, you've got 100 subcategories that you can add into each one of them. Okay, so projects and tracking add a lot of value to the Xero product. Okay, I want to get into the pricing because some of you who do have subscriptions, a lot of our clients, it's included in our monthly fee, but a lot of you who do get invoiced will have noticed or would have been sent an email saying that there's a product price update. That became effective the 15th of November, which I think was yesterday. And it's still value for money. So you've got 3 packages. You've got the starter package, the standard package, and the premier package. Remember that on all of these packages, it is multiple users. So there's no user pricing on here. But on your starter, you can send quotes and 20 invoices per month and enter 5 expenses. You can reconcile your bank accounts. The only thing you can't really do on the starter pack is bulk reconcile transactions and use multi-currencies. And you'll see that that functionality decreases as the packages go up until you eventually get to the package, the premium package, which has everything including multi-currency in it. There are add-ons like expense claims from $4 per month and track projects from $7 per month. And then there's also Analytics Plus that's another $7. You must remember that at the current exchange rate, $40 US is about what, 600-700 Namibian dollars. You're getting a full accounting package for $700 per month. Now, a lot of people say, yeah, but that is 7 times 12 is 4,800, and my current renewal pricing is only $2,000. I challenge you to have a look at the other costs that are associated with you running a accounting package. And this doesn't just apply to Xero, it applies to all of the other online accounting package. Why are we moving there? Well, number one, everything's moving online. And number 2 is gone are the days where you've got this local area network that some IT technician has built for you. And then you're sitting there and the server goes down, you need to back up the server, you're offline for 3 days, and the data that you had backed up is 2 days behind, you have to reprocess data. If you start looking into all of those costs, then you will realize that $800 per month compares quite favorably with any other kind of accounting package if you take into account the sort of hidden costs that are involved in it. So still, for me, value for money. So be careful if you're going onto some of the other subscriptions of other packages. I've seen people fall short when it comes to adding on users. They very often hide that away, and also they hide away the advisor. So I've seen one accounting package actually not allow you to process general journals. only your accountant can process a general journal, and you have to invite an accountant. So therein lies your hidden cost. Is somewhere along the line the accountant's going to charge you. Great, and then quickly to get done. There, I think we're finished now. So I'm going to quickly check on the, if I can find it. Where are we? There we are. Just want to get back to the dashboard. Okay, so I've heard the beeps going off throughout my quick session here. A lot of you would have found that difficult. So there's our sort of summary, and I'm now going to I think we're going to have a 5-minute break just so I can recover my voice. So let's say 11:20. That gives you an actual fact, let's call it in 8 minutes, to quickly go to the loo and to get some more coffee. We're going to come back and we're going to do the demonstration. I'm hoping that we can get some I've got a problem queries on the chat, and then we can deal with those problems for you. If there is none, then I will start with what I'd like to have a look at some of the automation features within Xero. That was what I wanted to leave the session open for. In other words, the hub doc. Go and have a look at it a little bit more in depth, see what's coming in there. We could also do receipt bank if need be. But if you'd really like to, we can deal with some of the pertinent problems that you guys are having. Okay, so we'll see you back here in 7 minutes. Thank you. I hope that everyone is back. We've got a minute to go. Right. Nicole, can you just confirm that you can hear and see me?
Hi, Warren. I can hear and see
Good.
you.
Great. I don't know if we've, while we're waiting the last 30 seconds, if whoever gets their question in first will be dealt with. We'll do it on a first in, first out basis. Does anyone have any questions? Anything? I don't know if you've already been working on the product. Otherwise, we can. Is there a place on Xero where I can see my user rights? Okay. Yes, I like that. Great, Louisa. Okay. Nicole, can you just tell me? Can you see that I'm looking at the chat section now? Anyone? Okay, maybe we lost Nicole. Louisa, can you see that I can see your chat section now? Or do you just see my demonstration screen? Oh, okay, great. Sorry. Okay, I just wanted to. Never too sure which screen. This Mac has got multiple screens, so it keeps on swapping. So if I do that, you can see the Xero screen then, right?
Or no, we can still see the chats.
Okay, but if you see that, is that the Xero screen? Can you see the Xero
Now
screen?
we can see the Xero screen.
Okay,
Yes.
wonderful. Okay, if you'd like to have a look at, so we're going to answer, is it Louisa? Louisa, if you want to check your user rights, then you'd simply go into your, click on your the company that you're in. If you've got more than one company, you would have, you could change your organization, obviously, but to see your user rights, you'd need to go into the settings. So you'd need to have the right to be able to see the user rights to begin with. But by by going into the settings and then going into users, you'll be able to see, for example, that on this particular one, I'm the user, right? But I'm going to, you can't add one into the demo company. So I'm going to go into, I don't want to reveal any information to other clients. So I'm going to go into, let's see. It's a pity I can't do the login history. I know you can see the login history there. I'm going to go into let's go into a ZZ company. Okay, I'll go into a spare company. Right. So if you go into your ZZ spare company, here I'm able to look at my users. If I look at my users, then I'm able to see, so these are the default users that are added in our company. But if I look at, for example, Rihanna Westhuizen, our account manager, and I click on that button there, I would be able to see either to delete her or to change her permissions. Now, there's she's obviously set as an advisor on this particular client, but here you'd be able to swap and change your individual user rights on here, assuming that you were given the right to actually manage the users. So if you're not given that right, then unfortunately you would not be able to change it. Okay, so these are these default sets of companies. The ZZ companies are spare companies that Xero creates for us, that we take into that we can bring our clients into. But you could basically access the rights. It'll look a little bit different on a normal company, but I think if I take that tick off, no. But you will generally add advisor, and you'll have some other rights that are there. For example, view only, etc., cash book processing only, etc. So that's the area where you can do that. Okay, Louisa, does that answer your question? Okay, just remember that obviously those user rights, only if you've been given that. So your advisor on the system, if you haven't been given the right to manage your users, then just contact your advisor, and that advisor will be able to give you that right, and then you'll be able to go in there and see those users. Okay, what we can further do just on that topic, and this is where I'll extend a little bit, is if you go into Accounting Advanced, you can actually go to the Assurance Dashboard. Now, if you go to the Assurance Dashboard, here I can see all of my users, and then I can see what they were busy on. So you'll see there's like a little, oh, I wish I could go. Let's go back into the demo company. And if you, hopefully there's some movement on there. But you'll see here that if you hover then over the particular day, that it will give you what has been done by that user. So you can actually monitor the user and see how many invoices they did per day, or if they did journals or whatever. And of course, it will now take a long time. There you go. So you can see I did on Tuesday, the 1st of November, I did 2 bills, 4 contact changes, and 2 invoices. So if the person says, oh, they were very busy, and you go and see, but you did nothing on that day. Okay. Good. Where do, no, I just want to make sure that we don't lose it. Where I can see my user rights. Okay, so that was Louisa. The next one we've got is, where do I view the detailed ledger? Okay, in order for you to view the detailed ledger, you'd need to go to your, I've got it defaulted here, account transactions, but I'm going to take you into the reporting section. So we give it a more general overview of what's going on in the reporting. So you can favor it. In other words, put onto this menu, right, reports that you use often. So if I don't like account transactions, I can unmenu it. You see it took it away there. And then my menu becomes smaller. Okay, if I want to add my budget manager in there, I simply star it and my budget manager now appears on my menu. So the 4 or 5 or 6 reports that you use the most, you would simply star them. In order to view your detailed ledger, you'll see that the reporting is in categories here. So if you're not looking at financial performance, it's fine. Financial statements, it's not. Payables, it's not. And if we go to your taxes and balances, you'll be able to see your general ledger there. You can either say the general ledger, or what I very often, that will give you sort of like a general ledger. And if you click into that figure, so let's say office expenses, it will give me my account transactions on that thing in my debit and credit. But you could also just simply use the account transactions menu too. That's where we can see a lot of detail on from your ledger, and I'll show you now. For example, here you can obviously select multiple accounts. So let's just do revenue accounts here. You can also select for a particular period, or you could select for, you know, like a financial period. So you could say this financial year. Now you've got the columns that you can actually, you can select your columns that you want. So let's say you don't want to see, for example, the source of the transaction or the running balance. You can actually click and decide what you want there. And you can also decide how you'd like to group the transactions. So if I've chosen that, I can then update. And it will give me my debit and credit. Now, a lot of people get intimidated by this because you've got this running balance, you've got this gross, and you've got this tax column in there. You can then go in and decide, well, I don't want to have the tax column in there, and I also don't want the source column in there. And if I update it, it will then change the reporting for us and make it a lot simpler. What I do often find is you can also filter it. So let's say, for example, you wanted to filter it by a particular region. You could say here, I can track it just for a particular region, or you can actually have a look. And if you look at your accounts payable, there's so many, you know, codes that you could filter this with. So you could filter it by a particular account or a particular contact, and refine your reporting like that. If you wanted to also, you could then save this as, and I'm trying to move that, a custom report. So if you save it as a custom report, and I'm going to do that, I'm going to save it as a custom report, and I'm going to put it in here as WGC account transactions. And if I save that, what will now happen is it will add this default selection to my custom report. So if I go to reports, at the top here, I have my custom reports. And here I will now have that report as my custom report. And I can also star it so that it appears in my menu. And that would then be my default report. Okay. You'll see, depending on your access rights, whether or not you have advisor, but reports, I've, for example, got my video financial reporting for SMEs. I can then apply that report and pull it through for the demo company. So I've got access to my reporting in your company, and that adds value to both of us. Number one, I get all of your information live, and number two, I can print your financial statements out relatively quickly once I set it up. And here, I obviously need to put in the information like the country and the members and all the rest of it, but I can immediately go to your financial position, which hopefully, if I remember the accounting, would be my balance sheet. And there's my balance sheet. And I can also then go and edit the layout of this report. So I can go in and literally on your particular report, go and change it. Let's say you don't like it being called assets. So I'm going to call it something else. I can call it assets with a smiley face. Okay. So if I now update the layout, I should get assets with the smiley face. Yes. Okay. I can also insert comments into this, and we can do a whole lot more. You can also put in as many comparatives as you wanted to. So you could add in comparatives. You could add in 4 or 5 years comparatives into your balance sheet and your financial reporting. Okay. So I certainly hope that that answers your question about the detailed ledger. Okay, great. Is it Laya? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Where in Xero do I process bank statements? Okay. As I said before, and if we go back to our dashboard, if you're in a particular bank account, and I think this is an important, if anyone has been working on it, if I go just basically into the reconcile on any of my bank accounts, you'll notice that there's 4 tabs here, depending on your access rights also. The cash coding one might not be there, depending on your subscription or your access rights. Cash coding allows me to, in actual fact, group a whole bunch of transactions together and process them to one account. But this is the default view that you would have if you logged into any particular bank. Now you'll see that you've got bank statements and you've got account transactions. And in your mind, I want you to see that the bank statement is from your actual bank statement. So you'll see that the source of these transactions are imported. You can't create a bank transaction, okay, but you can create an account transaction. So this is your bank statement, and if you come from a different accounting package, the account transactions would effectively be your cash book. Now, because your reconciliation works directly off of your bank statement, so this is the bank statement side, I can then go and process. So let's say, for example, I'm going to pick up one here, City Limousines. I want to go and, I don't want to match that, so I'm going to quickly cancel that. But I want to go and create City Limousines transaction here. So let's go to an expense. Let's say Ridgeway Banking Corporation fee. I know that is here. It's automatically picked up a bank fee, but let's say it's not a bank fee. So I can no, let me rather give. Let's take Cooper Street Bakery. Okay, so this was, let's call it staff or entertainment or something like that. Okay, so if I start by saying who, then I go Cooper, and it will try to find a contact. If it doesn't, and I'll type it in here, then I can simply click on create new contact. It will create that contact for me. If I choose the bank account, let's call it entertainment, and I've got an entertainment here, and I'm going to say this is popcorn for the movie. Okay, so what want you to, there's obviously a lot of other functionality on this cash book processing side, but this is my bank statement. This is the transaction that I've just created. So this is my cash book transaction. Now, you won't see that cash book transaction under account transactions because I haven't yet pushed the OK button. The minute I push OK, that line disappears. And what has happened is that transaction on my bank has now been reconciled. So if we go to, let's see if we can quickly see there's Cooper Street Bakery. Maybe there was more than one Cooper Street Bakery. There it is. And it has been reconciled, and it was $15.75. So if you go to account transactions, you would now see the Cooper Street Bakery, $15.75, and it's reconciled. So this is my cash book transaction that's been created from the bank statement. Bank statements can only be imported. If I go and I say, oh, that was actually a wrong allocation, I've got one of two options. I can either go into the actual transaction and I can go, well, I need to change that transaction and I need to edit it into, let's say, motor vehicle expenses. Okay, motor vehicle expenses, and I can update it, and that's not a problem. But let's say it was, I don't really know where that transaction should go at the moment. I can simply click on it and I can say, please remove and redo. So your cash book transactions, you can remove and redo as many times as you want to. So what has happened is you'll see that I've got 26 transactions that need to be reconciled. If I remove and redo it, that should change to 27, and it's added that transaction back onto my reconciliation for me to redo it. Okay, so it should be back over there. Okay, if in my bank statement, as you import your bank statements, you'll realize that sometimes it says, oh, I've imported 100 transactions, 2 were duplicate. You'll see here that when you do that, that the status here will be deleted. So this is like a line by line of your bank statement. What I can do on my bank statement is I can actually go and I can delete that line. But when I delete that line, what will happen is that it will show as being deleted. Okay, so there's always an audit trail of the transactions that have come from your bank statement. You can't create a bank statement line per se. You can only create a cash book line. Is that sort of answering your question, Laya? Okay, right. Well, I'm assuming that I've answered. Okay, Delita, any provisional tax calculations based on Namibia or other countries to see what the liability is? I don't know. How would you import a supplier invoice if your customer sends it in a digital form? Okay, great. Delita, provisional tax calculations, I think, are a little bit more complicated than what the accounting program is going to be able to manage. Don't see that it's no. I've not seen that functionality anywhere in Xero per se. So no, I don't think that is available. How would you import a supplier invoice if your customer sends it in a digital format? Yes, well answered. Thank you. Your bank are allowed to import bank statements. Okay, Delita. Yeah, as for the tax, I don't think that if when you say a digital format, there's 2 ways to import something into Xero. Number 1 would be through HubDoc and Receipt Bank with the invoice attached. If you, when you sign up with HubDoc and Receipt Bank, you will get a default email account. Let's call it send my invoices here at Receipt Bank, for example. You will save that, and any invoice that you want or an email that comes through to you, you simply forward it to that email address. It will go through it and it will pick out the PDF attachment or the picture attachment and then start scanning it. If you're talking about like a digital, like an Excel format, then we have to look at the actual bill. So if we go into our bills, you will see, and this is everywhere. This happens in bills, in invoices, you'll see an import functionality. So in the import functionality, I can then go and send and import a whole bunch of other digital. Let me jump back and see if you. Okay, I'm going to get confused if I jump back. I'm hoping I'm answering the question. You'll see here import bills into Xero, and it'll generally say, please download the Xero import template. And once you've downloaded the bill template, you can open the file and it'll give you the columns that you need. So it actually guides you through the process. It's going to open up, don't be alarmed, but it's opening up numbers on Mac. So on this, I prefer, let me rather open this in Excel for you guys, because it's not going to do that. So I'm going to try and open it up. I think it puts it over here. Do by date modified bill template. Click on it again like that. Sorry. If I open it up with Excel, there we go. Sorry, my Excel is delayed. Oh dear me. There we go. Maybe it was just thinking. So we'll try that again one more time. Open it up with Excel. I think people are much more familiar with Excel's formatting. So you'll see here, it gives you the exact format that you need to import it in. So whatever your supply, so if you had your suppliers in another Excel spreadsheet, you could simply take the columns and cut and paste them into here in this format. The columns with stars on are the columns that need to be fulfilled. So in other words, you need to have a contact name, you need to have your invoice number, your invoice date, your due date is something that's required, the quantity, unit amount. And if you go through and you look at it, it will tell you export your bills from your previous system as comma separated values. I do not change the header column. Eventually, it'll get to the point where you can actually drag and drop the file onto this page. It will then upload the file, and you can then confirm, and it will import all of those bills for you. Okay, does that answer your question? But just so you know, Delita, that question that is available anywhere. So it's not only there, it's available on most of the menus. So if we go to quotes, I think it's also available there. So of course I'm going to choose. I've updated the quotes list. You see here comes through one of those options. So it actually does look very different from what it did yesterday. So No, quotes, it looks like you can't import. I knew I was going to get caught out by saying something. But if you go into your sales overview, you will see that there is an import functionality there for your sales. Import your invoices. Okay, so so that is in a lot of places. Okay, great. We need to get back to Nicole. You must just make sure that I'm answering all of them. Please keep a seeing Xero now. Okay, I've gone too far. Let's take the provisional. How would you import? Okay, does Xero have any built-in modules to send invoices for online payments? So when you do send an invoice, so if we go into our sales overview, I always by default go back to the sales overview because I like it. It gives me a list of my customers when they're due, and I can have that in a list or in a pie chart, for example. Tells me what my biggest customers are. But if you go into see all your invoices, then it organizes them in this format. So you've got all, depending on the state on the status, you've got draft. So depending on your access rights, you might only be able to create a draft invoice. Or it's awaiting approval. In other words, it's a draft invoice that has been sent to awaiting approval. Someone else must approve it. Or alternatively, awaiting payment. So the minute you've approved that invoice, it would be here for awaiting payment. Now, this particular invoice, like City Limousines, has been sent, you'll see. So it has the sent mark next to it. And if I look at the history of this invoice, it will tell me that the invoice was sent. Okay, so it gives me my history of order changes on this thing. Your exact question, any built-in modes to send invoices for online payments? I might be answering that the wrong way round. I'm answering it like the client is going to pay you online, but we can do it both ways. So you could so you can preview this particular invoice, and here would be the invoice on the computer or on your phone. When you send the invoice, you've got the option of either including a PDF attachment. If you don't include the PDF attachment, then it'll send a link, just a link to the invoice. So when they click on it, it will automatically in your history over here, it'll say viewed by the client on that particular day. So you can always trick the client into showing you that they've looked at the invoice by not including the PDF in it. Okay. If you were looking at it in a different format, like you wanted to send invoices in a Excel file, then you would simply use the export option. So, for example, you can go to awaiting payment, and you could highlight a couple of them, and then you could export them. Okay, and then it will export those into a format for you to then send, for example, to your client. So in other words, there's the invoices, the invoice numbers and the amounts. Similarly, if you were sending it to, if it was a bill that needed to be paid, you could do exactly the same thing. So under awaiting payment, we could simply pick the ones that we wanted to, or we could sort by from or whatever, and we could then simply export it. Does that answer your question, Clifford? Okay. Right. If a client paid more than what was actually invoiced, how does the reconciliation process work? So that's a very common question, Victoria. So let's choose something like that. Hopefully there's an example that we can actively choose for it. So I just want to make sure you say if a client paid more than what was actually invoiced. Okay, so let's see the demo. Hello? Oh, can everyone still see me?
Yes, I can see you and hear you.
My screen just went completely blank. Okay, so let's hope the demo gods are on our favor. So I'm going to take this Ridgeway, and you'll see automatically, and really your bank and cash book processing you can improve it so easily by, for example, adding in creating bank rules for transactions, you know. Then if the transaction comes here, I don't know why I clicked there, but if the transaction comes here, you'll see that it's already marked as green. Or if a bank rule was applied to it, you'll see there, it puts an OK there. So I'm happy with that one, happy with that one. And you simply click OK, OK. The more and more you process in the bank, the better and better the bank becomes by just adding in those rules. But let's say, for example, it's now gone through that whole process where a customer has paid you, like trucks and property management, and it immediately picks up the invoice and says, oh, look, I've got this, I found this, is this the right invoice? And if you say yes, if I go OK here, it actually matches that transaction, it matches that payment against that invoice, and you're done. You've processed your cash book, you've matched it, that's it. If, however, the client pays more than what they were supposed to, then what you would do is you would generally go into the find and match. So it would not be marked green. It would be marked, it would just say, it would be like a normal transaction. And I can untick that transaction. And let's say, I think that they paid that invoice. Now, you'll notice that this is from a different supplier, but if it was the same supplier, you would also see all the same supplier's invoices. It's most probably going to moan at me now because I'm paying the wrong invoices. But you'll see that if I click that, you'll see that immediately, if I'm there, it does give me a split button, but there's no need for me to split because the totals match. But if I go here, then you'll see that the totals do not match. But let's say that was all they paid. I would go split. So when I split the payment, it tells me that is the balance of the invoice. And we're making a part payment. So in other words, we pay the 270.63. Okay. And I split it. There's nothing left of that invoice. Okay. So I've now paid that. And what will now remain is 5917.87. So I don't know what to do with that. The only thing I can really do is either do an adjustment, and these are generally the step 3 of this is left. So for this transaction, there's 3 steps. This particular transaction: 1, find and match, or 2, view your selected transactions, add a new transaction as needed, or 3, the sum of your selected must match the money received, make adjustments as needed. So maybe there's a bank fee or a minor adjustment, and you can make those ones there. But let's say the rest is in actual fact a prepayment. I would go into new transaction. I would say, well, I need to do a receive money transaction. And it's going to be to Ridgeway on that date. And then we're going to say it's maybe a deposit for December of 22. Sorry, it wouldn't be a direct payment. I would first look here and say it's going to be a overpayment. In other words, the client is overpaid. And I would simply say here, overpay December, and I could go save transaction. On that account now will be an overpayment. Now my totals match and I can reconcile. So you've got a prepayment there, you've got an overpayment, and you've got like a direct transaction where you can allocate it to an expense account. Okay. If you have an overpayment on that account, you will see that if you go and process an invoice to that particular client, this Ridgeway overpayment, it will tell you once you've done the invoice, hello, I've got an overpayment. Do you want to match this invoice against the overpayment? And you just simply say yes, and then it will match that overpayment until the overpayment has been done. Does that answer your question, Victoria? I hope so. Okay. Cora, HubDoc, supplier invoices with lines, VAT included, and other lines, no VAT. How do we review them correctly? Okay. Okay. Cora, I just want to quickly see if well, there's okay. Right, let's go back to the one about HubDoc, supplier invoices with lines, VAT included, and other lines, no VAT. How do we review them correctly? Okay, I'm going to try and see if I can get into the HubDoc demo. Before I do that, Cora, I just wanted to quickly answer. No, let me do yours first. Okay, so let's go into HubDoc. I do believe I would have a HubDoc for, will I, for the demo? There's every possibility that there will be. No. Okay, so I need to get out of the demo. I can delete this at a later stage. So let's go and quickly create. I don't actually have a demo of that. I'll quickly set up HubDoc for this one. Accounting or bookkeeping, yeah, please choose your business type, fine. I'm going to try and see if I can get, you want like an invoice. It would be nice if you had an example of an invoice like that. But maybe I can emulate it for you. Okay, Cora, we're almost there. Oh, goodness. Why would it be waiting for Facebook from HubDoc? Is Facebook involved in everything? I need to choose the right organization here. So it's ZZZ Spare September 13. Okay, so it must be ZZ Spare September 13. Unlucky number 13. Okay. This is how easy it is to set up HubDoc, by the way. It automatically has now created those links into your Xero set of accounts as you're doing that. What does not include as part of the Xero plan? No. I have to stop that one. So let me just stop that. Let's see if I can just go into HubDoc myself and see if I can pull out something for you. I just don't want to reveal any client confirmation. While that's opening, Delita, do all banks in Namibia allow to import bank statements? Delita, yes. Most banks allow you to export into CSV, or alternatively alternatively, the format that we quite like is OFX. So try them. You might need to try the OFC, but most banks allow you to export into CSV. You'll then just import, go into your bank, and for example, what we tend to do is if you're in a demo, let me just get back to the demo quickly. You'll learn the format quite quickly for the importing of the CSV file, but you know, each bank would be different. So they would put the transaction and then the reference and whatever. But if you go and download the template quickly, which you can do on the import menu, then you could quickly just adjust the columns to be in the right format. So if you go download your CSV template there, then you know that it must be in a particular format. So date and amount and the payee, description, reference, and check number. So that's the format. Obviously, imagine this was Excel, and the only columns that it needs is the date and the amount column, in actual fact, to import it into. If there was, for example, a bank problem, like sometimes there is. So let's say the bankers, you arguing with them about a particular transaction that has it, or the statement's not adding up or whatever. What you would do in order to get something into this side of the bank statement to balance your cash book out, right, is to remember you can only get something into your bank statement by importing it from the bank, is to actually go and create that transaction in a CSV, like a correction. So I put in here, the date would be whatever. It would be, I put in, don't know why it won't go there. It's like, there we go. So I'll just go add line. I put in the date there. Let's say it's the 11th of September, 2022. The date format you'll have, and I'd go and put there minus $12.34, and I've put in as correction. And then when so if I wanted to now, I could save that. So that's statement import template number 1. So I save that. Save. Oh, I don't want to put it there. And then I'd simply import that. It's going to save it into cloud and all sorts of stuff. And then I'd import it, and it'd import this correction amount in here. Okay, I am in HubDoc now, so let me quickly. I'm just not sure that I can. Makes it very difficult for me. I'm going to try this one. Maybe there's something here. This is my personal account. It's possibly. Okay, so yeah, this is the demo one. So let's see if you've got Foxglove Studios, for example. So if you had more than one line here, you would say enter manually your lines. So here you could actually then go in and you would choose your item and then whether or not you had tax on it. So here you could go and enter in your individual lines. So if you look on the destination and you carry on, you've got transaction, auto calculate 2 line items, but you do have the option to then go or enter manually, and here then you can add as many lines as you wanted to on that particular transaction. Okay, I hope that that helps you. Please cancel. Oh, no, I need to push on delete. Great, I hope that that helps you. Oh, where were we? Cora, right. Deleter, I think I've answered your question. What would be the best way to import pastel closing balances? That's Louisa. Louisa, well, if you've got pastel, there's a wonderful little website called Cloud Convert. So Cloud Convert will do the following for you. Cloud Convert will automatically and for free convert your choose your destination platform. So you would say, I want to convert into Xero. But for free, Cloud Convert, within a couple of hours, will actually convert your pastel data in zip format backup automatically into Xero for 2 years. So 2 years worth of data, it will automatically convert for you. We've just done our personal BDO's books. We've moved to Xero, and we wanted all 5 years, and they converted all 5 years for around about 4,500. So if you're on the later versions of Pastel, say version 19, then in actual fact, there's like 5 years of data in there, but you can only see 2. So it will import those balances in there for you. So Cloud Convert will do that. Alternatively, you can send the information to us, and we can do that for you. And then, set up the it automatically sets up the company. So if you go via that website, you'll put in your details, you send them the data, they then convert it, and then you'll get an invitation to a trial set of company to go into. When you go in, it'll say, do you want to take over the payment of this client? And you say yes, or you could keep it in trial. And then use it for a month, and then it will tell you, do you want to convert it? So it imports everything, even the account numbers. Okay. Trying to send you the invoice, but I'm failing. Okay, well, Cora, I think, Cora, I've sort of kind of answered that already for you, because it's already in hopefully that was you just need to go into the add individual lines, and you can add those individual lines. And if I'm not mistaken, you can add that. I know in Dext, you could add those as permanent lines. So if it's like I want to almost say like a municipality account, you could actually, like your rates and taxes, you could actually add the lines in. And when it sees that, it'll pull through that set of lines, those manual set of lines, if the amount is the same. Right, did we get to the end of all the questions? Have I answered everything? I see we are already, as per usual, 9 minutes over time. Nicole, did I not answer anything? Okay, well, I think maybe I didn't answer this question. What would be the best way to import Pastel closing balances into a Xero account already in use by a client for creating his customer invoices without affecting the figures already on Xero? Import the Pastel TV or by manual journals. Okay, so we've got that. Yeah, I didn't read the question all the way through, Louisa. So you can bring in, you're playing around with, I'd have to have a look at the individual circumstances surrounding that, but you're playing in actual fact around with something on the advanced menu, which is called the conversion balances. So at some particular point, this company, whether it be imported from Xero or manually imported, there would be a conversion balance set in here. So for example, and that would be your take on TV, for example. Your take on TV. Now, the way that they suggest taking on your customer balances is actually done here. So you might want to read through this. We haven't done too many of them, but you'll see that accounts receivable, you can't process very much like in Pastel. You can't process to the customer control account nor the supplier control account. So you generally take it to either a suspense account or something like that. Then you would go in and enter total outstanding invoices on this date. To enter the outstanding balances of all unpaid or partly paid sales invoices into the debit column for accounts receivable. After confirming your conversion balance, you'll need to enter the outstanding invoices that make up this amount. Run a trial balance report on your old system. Always enter positive numbers. If you have negative total, we recommend you don't use the tracked inventory items. So that was for outstanding invoices on this date. So what you'll do is you'll actually go and enter in those invoices as a normal invoice, but on one day prior to your conversion date. You could actually pull it in on different dates as long as it's within the same sort of period. And the counter or the account that you would post to would be that suspense account. So it might be a combination of doing that to bring those balances in. Does that better answer your question? Okay. Well, I'm hoping that's the better answer for you. Go and have a look on the conversion balances. They've got that opportunity. Also on how to enter in your supplier balances. It's very much like Pastel, but Pastel sort of limits you to to only 2 periods. You can't go back further than that. And in this particular instance, it could go back like for 3 years. Just another interesting fact that you can do here is you can add comparative balances in for prior years. So for example, you've got 3 years or 4 years information, but your boss wants 20 years of information. You could go in and add a comparative column in here. You see it adds another tab here and put in the balances as at the end of year 6 and year 7 and year 8 and year 9 and year 10. So when you do a financial reporting, you would have actually 10 years of reporting figures to have. So that's also quite a nice value. Okay. I want to say to everyone, thanks for the session. I think I don't see any more questions coming through. I think Nicole has left my email or email info, but please feel free to give me a call if you've got any questions. I did see a lot of BDO staff who are attending also today. So I hope that you guys know you can just give me a call. But actually anyone, please feel free to give me a call. My number is most probably on the website, or email me, and we're more than welcome to assist. You might just need to grant me access to your company if it's not already on our profile. But there's generally some kind of solution for everyone here on Xero. And as I said, we are slowly building the capacity for add-on functionality. So we're working quite closely, not too closely yet, but we're looking forward to working closely with Semper and Tour Writer and Ikentu and those kinds of people to build up the packages here in Namibia. Great. If that's all, then I'm going to say thank you very much for attending, and we'll let you know well in advance for our next session in 2023. It will most probably be definitely in February or March. But it's not going to, I think January is too short and February is too busy, so for tax deadline. So we'll do it in March. And then, yeah, have a safe Christmas, and we'll catch up next year. Hopefully to Xero bringing their price down, or at least the US dollar. Just in closing, I wanted to say to all the clients out there, you might have received a message saying that that South African pricing is now available. Please ignore it. Unfortunately, we are not grouped in South Africa. We are grouped as a separate company, and our pricing remains US dollar based. I had a look this morning. We're talking about $20 difference than the South African pricing. So it's not a significant price difference to what South Africa is charging in rands. Okay, I'm ending it like that. Great. Have a safe festive season, and we chat and have a new session in 2023. Keep well. Bye-bye.
Warren, thanks everyone else for joining. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It seems like there's lots of positive feedback. We will put the recording on the YouTube channel this afternoon. and then send out the link with Warren's contact information and the link to the YouTube channel. If you want to share it with anyone else, there are also the recordings of our previous training sessions on Xero, if you'd like to watch them there.
Thanks, Nicole.
Pleasure.
Thanks for always being there in the back end, sorting these things out.
All right. We'll
Great.
end the meeting now.
I'm going to say
Thank you.
bye. Bye-bye, everyone.